All right, proud of our team with the work of practice we had this week. Had 3 really good days, and guys are excited to play at US Bank Stadium. We got to play better than we have at home. We know that's a huge part of it. Our fan base bringing the energy, and we got to give them a reason to bring the energy. And I know our team and the type of work week that we've had. I feel really good about our guys playing well this Sunday, against a really well-coached, really talented football team. So it should be a very good football game. I want to highlight CJ Ham. Told the team a few days ago, but winning the Walter Payton Man of the Year, voted by his teammates, not a surprise at all. Everything about CJ Ham is what really makes my job so special, getting to coach players like him, getting to be around players like him making me better on and off the field. It is, I can't say enough good things about what he means, what he's meant to the community, both him and his wife Steph. What they've done in the Twin Cities here and beyond is one of one, in my opinion. So very thankful that we get to recognize CJ and what he means to our team, organization, and community as well. Game status updates: Theo Jackson and Levi Drake will be out this week. We'll have 3 players with the questionable tag. Ty Chandler, who's, we just opened up his window this week, and then Donovan Jackson and Christian Darisaw, both guys, both CD. And Donovan got some great work in today. See how they turn over the next 24 hours, and hopefully have both those guys for the game.
Kevin, with the news of Jaden Daniels playing, what do you remember about the time you spent around him in the draft process?
Yeah, Jaden is, as talented as they come. We saw it on display last year. Obviously when he, had the year he had, he's had, that same impact when he's been on the field. So we've kind of went about it all week like we were going to see him, knowing not only Jaden, but how Marcus has played as well. So, their offense doesn't change a whole lot schematically, but obviously Jaden Daniels is one of the best young players in the NFL. And, glad he's able to, recover from that injury and get a chance to compete. But we got to be ready to play good defense, which we've been playing lately. Proud of that group, and we've got to have a complementary game with the other 2 phases as well to win this one.
What stood out most watching him coming out from LSU?
I just think I had done quite a bit, quite a bit of work on him the previous year. And then, which there was a lot to like on that tape. And then you take a step forward with what he did in his final year at LSU. The growth from one year to the other was phenomenal, and that's saying something because he was a really good player the previous year. I had, the ability just through some connections at even when he was at Arizona State, I knew about him, kind of always known about him, and then just watching his growth throughout his college journey, I was not shocked at all with either where he was selected and ultimately the type of rookie year he had. I think he's, above the neck, smart, cerebral, totally in complete poise. It seems like every snap, regardless of whether it's a playoff game last year or his first start going back to the beginning of last year. And so I'm expecting, even though he's been recovering here for a few weeks, I'm expecting that same guy on Sunday at US Bank Stadium, which means they're going to be at full capacity, and we got to be ready to play well, not only on defense but in all 3 phases.
Kevin, we talked a lot about Dallas Turner through the last year and a half. And just what have you seen recently for him to seemingly produce at a more consistent level over the last few weeks?
I think he's just learning, after a lot more reps this year, obviously with, Gink being down for a stretch and now JG working himself back in here over the last few weeks. I think he's just learned and stacked all that experience, just kept working. And now you're seeing a little bit more comfort level mentally so that his physical skill set can impact the game. Because when he's rolling off the ball, physical on the edges, and his athleticism, speed, burst, agility, power to go rush the passer, he's getting some ops, and he's been finishing on those ops, and the play style's there, the strain, the finish, as it continues to just ascend for him, which, as we talked about all offseason, was my expectation coming into this year. Year 2 ascension for him, especially in our defense with Flo and the group there. And I think he's learned a lot from guys like Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel. Totally different players, but he's had to really play both of those spots throughout the year, which I know it's listed as outside linebacker on our depth charts, but those two guys play totally different positions. The instinctual asks of Van Ginkel and the playmaking and the versatility and the explosion of Jonathan Grenard getting off the ball. He's had to do both those things, and I think it's been really good to see him kind of continue to ascend. Glad you asked about him.
For a young pass rusher, just learning how to beat a tackle when you have to have probably a secondary move sometimes. What is that process like of just developing at this level?
I think that's why, pass rushers, young ones, when their skill set might not just be flat out power, it takes some guys a little bit of time, because the tackles you're facing every Sunday in the NFL, they've got a tough job. They play against some of the most dynamic athletes on the planet as pass rushers, so they have seen it all. They've seen they've studied your go-to move, so you have to have a counter. You have to have a change-up or two to then apply and try to get that guy off balance. And then once you're able to get that guy off balance, and you're not getting edge help, or the back's not working to that way, or the slide's not coming to you, you really have to have that activity and that athleticism to go finish the play. And we've played some dynamic quarterbacks this year. We'll certainly play one this Sunday where we've got to get that pass rush, but we also got to understand the dynamic nature of being able to change the game from the quarterback position if we let them cleanly up and out of the pocket. Want to try to make those guys go backwards, want to try to make them run outside the back of the pocket, and then plaster in coverage, and then it's about that strain and finish that we've been seeing out of Dallas.
We've seen a lot of Ty Felton on special teams. How has he developed as a receiver?
Yeah, he's because of the health at the receiver position, we really haven't been able to see him a whole heck of a lot. Got in a little bit against Cincinnati late. Got in a little bit against the Chargers late, but he's getting the development that's taken place with Keenan. We've kind of seen it over 4 years with Jalen Naylor, and obviously Ty's in the early stages where he's impacting the game tremendously in the kicking game, but he's putting the work in every single day. We have a ton of confidence in him, and that was one of that definitely went into the equation of kind of the recent roster moves and things like that, because we've got some young players that we really like, and those guys have been doing the work, stepping in here and there. I think Ty takes reps most days in some capacity at all three spots. So that's the growth that's going on there. We're hoping is something that we can really look forward to, kind of the fruits of that here over the next few months and years.
Continuing with the younger players, I know you guys were high on Jalen Redmond, but has he exceeded what you guys thought he could do this season?
Yeah, he has. Just from the nature of the playmaking. It's one thing to just he was flashing a lot last year. Maybe he didn't get the type of attention that he has this year, even from our opponents. You're seeing people being well aware of where 61 is. But it's been not only the ability to get off blocks, to defeat blocks at the point of attack. He still plays physical. He can eat double teams and still make plays in our movement game up front, the burst and athleticism, and then he's making the play, whether it's a TFL or some of the sacks he's had this year. He's been phenomenal, and you got to be honest about it. He's exceeded the expectations, but not something that we necessarily we looked at him coming into this year as a playmaking guy that if he took that next step could have the kind of year that maybe he had. But, he's been a huge bright spot in a season where maybe we haven't had the normal inventory of bright spots.
Kevin, just with the challenge that Chris Cooper has faced with all the different offensive line combinations, I guess how would you describe the way that he has had to navigate a lot of changes up there?
Yeah, and they've been different, right? It's been in-game a couple times with, as many as three guys taking, snapping the football at center, which is obviously a unique challenge. It's been throughout the practice week of maybe getting guys work and thinking we'll have them, and we don't. What does the game plan look like at that point? It's been kind of the young guy development from Donovan Jackson having not getting the consistent reps post-surgery, but then coming back and playing and having a great mental awareness of doing his job and kind of building things back up. And if Donovan's able to go Sunday, the same thing will kind of apply. He had a good week of work, but it's just the different layers to it this year, where it hasn't necessarily been one particular aspect of it, like last year where week 5, bam, you knew the left tackle spot would be different for the duration of the season. Acquired a new player and had to coach him up, and we won 8 or 9 games in a row. It's been different, obviously, not just from the result standpoint, but just the different layers to it, where you're looking at essentially in any one particular week, 3/5 of our offensive line has been either in question or in game, having to deal with that dynamic. I know I can only imagine what he's felt as the position coach, because as the play caller, I have felt that tremendously in games as well, and we're trying to grow through it and get better at handling those adverse situations. But it is unique, it feels like, to this year.
How does just with the offensive line changes, how does that stress your depth players when you have guys that have to play one spot, like Brandell, for example?
Yeah, and really not only just one spot, from a standpoint of guard, center. Occasionally we've gotten him some work at the left tackle spot, just trying to envision, how to navigate the ebbs and flows of it to have the best 5 for that sequence of a game if we can in there. So it makes it difficult, but it also stresses some of those guys that maybe the best thing for them might be to work their technique and fundamentals at one spot, but ultimately what's best for the team has to trump everything, and that's why the versatility of Blake Brandell has been so huge for us. You think about having a guy like Michael Juergens who could step in there, who's played some real snaps at the center spot. Obviously Justin School is a veteran player that stepped in Tampa a year ago and has had to do the same thing many, many times this year. So it's definitely a unique challenge, and you'll be able to make up the time on the back end from a player development standpoint, but that's still, through the course of a season, has to be really important for the growth of your entire roster to be able to handle these situations, for sure.
You just mentioned on Wednesday your kind of message to JJ this week. How do you feel like he responded to that this week?
Yeah, cut it loose, pull the trigger. You're prepared. He understands this game plan. He's had a really good week of practice, threw the ball really well. I think it's now a matter of a lot of the principles that we've talked about coming into play, and most importantly his decision making and giving these guys opportunities to make plays on the football, and that could be down the field, that could be in the intermediate area, that could be checking the football down, but we've got playmakers that JJ knows can do a lot of really good things if we get the ball in their hands, and can we pitch and catch at the level that gives us opportunities to stack positive plays and have success. And like I said, he's had a great week, and I'm excited to watch him play on Sunday.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.